spoilers.
First one we're doing. And what we're going to do is do a couple of movie, I wouldn't say even movie reviews, just movie discussions. Yep. We'll be covering a little bit of everything. JD usually does like research on the character actors and all these people, whatever. Yeti's here for the ride, and so am I. So JD's pretty big movie and film buff, so this is more up his alley, and we're just kind of all bringing our little take and perspective on it. We're all gonna pick a movie, and we'll go in rotation. First movie was Sinners.
That was my pick.
JD's pick there. So let's start off with the fact that we're going to be talking about it. There's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers or you don't like any of that,
Spoiler alerts.
yeah, if you don't like any of that, turn it off now.
We'll put a warning right here. Rating these is where we're talking about the acting, the storyline, any special effects, and then we agreed that we're rating them 1 out of 5 beers. We're rating them out of beers. Today, we're drinking. I got me some Busch, and I got a couple Pink Whitneys here too.
Got some Ronas and a Bud Light.
The 50th anniversary gold cans for Miller.
50?
Yep, says 50 on it.
Sinners is a great movie, or at least I think it's a great movie. But what it's about is basically vampires during 1932. We're down south in Mississippi, I believe it is. And before we go too much into it, that's the premise. Is vampires down in Mississippi. It's 1932, so Jim Crow is still very big and active in these parts. The Klan is still very big and active in these parts. This movie was directed by Ryan what? Coogler?
I think it's like
Yeah, Nick.
Oh my God,
Dude, we just
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Coogler.
yeah,
Coogler.
Coogler, the same guy that did Black Panther, right?
Yes. I feel stupid now.
Me too.
you're the movie
We
buff.
had all the bullshit on it.
I always mispronounce his name. Coogler. Yes, I was right. Ryan Coogler directed this along with Black Panther. It's one of his more famous ones. I think this is a great premise of a movie. So, do you want to start deep diving into my review of it?
Well, I really don't remember the first part because the first part, like, in my opinion, first part of it kind of boring, slow, gets going on it, kind of put me out to sleep.
Alright, so I think that's a great point. Let's start at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, you think it was very slow? I actually agree with you. I do think it was very slow. However, I do think it does give you world building. And if this was going to be a trilogy, or if this was put into a book, I feel it would be great in the long end of it. But the first half, I would say the first
30 minutes.
the first 2 acts of the movie are very slow. It's very much world building, character building. Yeah.
Then
Tex, what do you think?
I think that 32 is a really good premise because it's a deep south. Jim Crow shit, mentioned that. Also in the north, Chicago's mentioned a lot. This is during the years of Al Capone,
And they do mention him.
Prohibition, people that are running alcohol, obviously, making tons of money doing it. That does come up in the story, so that does play a role too. I like that they do bring in real world kind of events and setting. The world building is great, but I think the theme there's several themes in this movie because I've watched it the second time already. The first time it was more of just enjoying it for the story. The second is I'm looking through threads that just weave themselves through the story, and I'm like, there's usually most movies have 2 storylines, an A and a B storyline, right?
Yes.
The A storyline is the main character, Sammy. They call him Preacher Boy because he's the son of a preacher. Okay, and his 2 cousins, Smoke, Stack.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 guys, right?
well, actually that one guy, but
They're both played by Michael
B. Jordan.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that a little bit as well.
Near the third act of the movie, we find out there's the vampires, and every one of these people that are in here and their little religious take on everything, including Preacher Boy's father, who's just super Southern Baptist, very like his own interpretation of it, has his own little church. He is against his son, the main character, Sammy, playing the blues.
Which also reflects the period of time they're in, especially down in the South. Blues was, again, this is before rock and roll and everything else. Blues was the devil's music, and a lot of people held that to their heart. Blues was not traditional folk music. It wasn't what everybody was listening to.
But I don't understand why. Because it wasn't like hardcore or anything like that. It wasn't talking about anything bad.
But anything that disrupts the status quo is evil. That's why when rock and roll came around, rock and roll was evil, and then it was hip hop and rap, and then it was grunge music, and then it was the emo scene. And
Every time there's a revolution in music, regardless of the genre that it creates or leads into or branches off into, JD's right, there's always a little bit of hesitation to accept it, right? It's almost counterculture at first, and then it becomes
mainstream
normal culture.
And I think it also really ties into the theme of the whole movie, because they do use songs and music throughout it to convey. And what I think is very interesting is they take songs, and by first listen, you're like, oh, that's weird. But if you look at it from both points of view, the lyrics then change, or not change, but the meaning of the lyrics change.
Dude,
so
that one part when he was singing at the juke, they got what they called it, where it was just like changing from, it was an old part, like how he was singing it, and I don't know where it started to like turn into generations of different like.
Oh yeah, where it goes
versions.
into like rock, and then it becomes into like the B-boys, and it flows through the.
And how he was out playing the guitar and he had his leg up on top of it, and then the other guy from the oldies, from the blues, he was doing the same thing he was doing.
Oh yeah.
But this ties into.
But they didn't even know there was that.
But I'm also talking about just the songs that are decently known songs. The first one that I wanted to point out was the Pick Poor Robin Clean one that they first start singing in, and it's when the first few wave of vampires come, Remick and Bonnie and Brett. It's Remick and the two Klansmen is basically who comes up, and they're playing their little banjo and their fiddle. And Pick Poor Robin Clean, which is it's kind of really a dark, playful song, just because of the time. It's a metaphor for Robin, represents someone who is vulnerable, and picking them clean is basically means kind of like taking everything that they have, which is part of it, but it was more of a it started out with, again, African Americans and the slave, and then it kind of moved over, and it's really interesting to see how he uses that to change the meaning of it, is because this was more of just like, we're going to work hard and find our way through Jim Crow, and we're going to pick what we can.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Y'all differentiations is mine. When y'all heard that, and I heard it was like, when you're picking it clean, like, I'm gonna fucking find a way to get in there, and I'm gonna fucking pretty much pick your bones clean.
Get what you can out of it.
But that's what the song kind of originally meant. But how Remick is, in the context of how Remick is portraying the song, it is almost like a siren warning call of just like, I am here to take advantage of you and take what you have. Which is another, going back to the whole religious undertone of everything, of just where they talk about, and they mentioned it a couple times during the movie, that religion was not only forced onto the African American slaves being brought over, but it was also something that was forced onto Remick, who we assume had to, just from context clues, we assume that he had to be a vampire during the 1800s when the Irish were invaded by the British. And they were basically colonized. This is where like St. Patty comes in, and they basically, anybody who wasn't part of this nice clean box were either killed or exiled from Ireland or fled Ireland. So I think that's really interesting that Remick uses this not only to give us a warning, but also where he talks about we can't have a fellowship. And even though that we're in the style of Remick, we're and not the same. They're all still struggling in the same problems.
the vampire or vampirism as its own form of religion, as a cult, because they it's a false prophet. Remick offers everybody, hey, join this. It almost sounds like hippie type shit. Join this, we're all peace and love, man. But in order to become a member of that, you sacrifice, because it's part of the hive mind, you sacrifice your individuality. You sacrifice who you are to become part of that.
But
And as a vampire, you don't stand any more of a chance moving up socially in the world than you do by not being a vampire. As a matter of fact, you serve less of an opportunity because you can't stay in the same place for too long, because there's going to be too many deaths. Pretty soon they'll figure out who's doing it. If you keep moving, how do you move if you don't have any money? You can't just take off. Remick could do it because he was a white-colored guy, right? So
he's all like, it's because we're...
Yeah, but see, at the very beginning, that is funny. But at the very beginning, you don't know that he doesn't play up the Irish side that he is, because you guys got to remember, back in the 30s, the Irish were still second-class citizens. They were not.
He wasn't advertising he was Irish.
They weren't considered white. He played it off as, I'm just a poor Southern white guy. Remember?
However, he gave little slips that he wasn't like a purebred white, because he even called the native Indians by their... Yeah, they called them Indians. He actually called them Choctaws, the tribe that was chasing him.
Right.
Which, obviously, the Klansmen didn't call them by their tribe name. It didn't matter to them. They were all just Indians.
Mm-hmm. And they were all savages and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how they, in the 30s, especially the South, they got to make the racism as extreme as possible. So that we're taking liberties when we're putting it in that context.
It's one of those things.
Oh yeah, pink weenies are delicious, by the way.
Tastes
It's like pink lemonade.
tastes like
Oh, it's almost
Smirnoff.
like a gin I drink.
Like a Smirnoff. So I think the theme of that, like the religious overtones, I think it's regardless, because in the movie everyone has their own perspective. They bring their own whatever ideology, belief system to that, and not one of those is favored. There is a truth in every one of them. There is an element of reality to every bit of it. Because the hoodoo isn't favored, because there's some stuff that, yeah, you catch hints of it, and you kind of see how some of the stuff that his estranged wife says, and she's like, oh, this is what I see, throwing the bones on the table, doing all that, making the mojo, the little pouch that he wears as a necklace. In their culture and in that belief system, that religious or spiritual belief system, that is all very true and very real. Not any more real than Preacher Boy, who comes from the super South, super conservative or strict religious Christianity, Baptist background, whatever.
But the difference between these religious views and almost what you would call the cult of the vampires is that the religious views go, this is a higher power, this is the universe, and this is the power, where Remick, leading this cult of vampires, is chasing power, which is also what draws him to Sammy, which draws him to the Juke Club that night, is the power of using music to contact your ancestors. Because again, we assume Remick hasn't seen his family, his wife, his kids. He hasn't seen anybody for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Because he's been cursed to this earth.
Well, we'll say hundreds for sure.
Hundreds at least.
Yeah, hundreds for sure.
I bet you he's like 80 something.
Well, maybe. I mean, I've only seen the movie twice at this point. And
I would definitely be interested if they made a solo Remick movie to give us a little bit more about Remick.
I don't know.
I don't really find him that compelling of a character, though. Honestly, I think he's a good kind of plot. I mean, he's a good antagonist to move the story forward, but I think that he's just a more pronounced element of the bigger story. Because in my opinion, the theme of it is everyone has their take on it. Like jazz is whatever music form it is, and there's going to be, how do I put this? Sammy's dad doesn't want him to sing the blues, right? Blues branches off into all these different things down the road,
Yep.
right? Like rock and roll, I brought up jazz, whatever. All this stuff is tied in because all music has a string of truth or commonality that runs through it. The religious tones are the same thing. There's a string of truth or commonality between all of them. But the theme of the movie is every one of them is trying to push their agenda, their idea, their belief onto Sammy.
Yes.
Because if it's the twins, if it's Smoke or Stack, they're both coming at him saying, we can take advantage of his ability to play. We can make something.
Money is almost their religion.
Remember, you gotta remember that at one part he's all, y'all just give me him, we leave y'all alone.
Yeah.
In the distance, it zooms into the darkness, and there's Remick with his two first followers, the Klansmen or Klans people, whatever. And he's like, he saw through the building, saw through everything, and saw Sammy and said, "He's the guy that has that power. I want that power."
Yeah.
So
He was a seed.
Sammy is being targeted by everybody, including his own father, who does not want him to do. He doesn't want him to follow his own dreams. He wants him to follow in his footsteps and be a preacher. That's what he does at the beginning. Hey, let's do the sermon.
I think you're right on that. I think his father does recognize the power, not just like magical powers, but I think the power of Sammy even proves that when he is doing the mock sermon when they're preparing, he closes the Bible and finishes the sermon.
Do you remember?
Where he's like, I know this, it's in my blood, but this is not who I am. I think is really interesting too.
He had to put another thing to do. He even told his dad, I got something else.
But what I think is there's a contradiction in almost every one of these people that do this. Come with us, we'll make all kinds of money. The twins say that. Come with us.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
let us basically handle this. We'll turn this plantation situation into something better. We'll make lots of money. We'll basically, this is our agenda, but it's a contradiction because in order for them to do that, they would have to let white people in. But they wanted it to be only for the black community.
Yeah.
But the blacks who are sharecropping have wooden nickels. You guys may have read about this in the history books. Wooden nickels are for plantations. You can go to the store and buy things at the store, but that locks you financially and socially in your place.
Yeah,
it prevents you from moving up.
In your community, you can't go out of town.
It prevents you.
You're pretty much charging.
It prevents you. You eventually go from being a slave to being a serf. You're a half a step above your class that you were in to begin with. Nothing's really changed for these people.
That's why
So-
Smoke got mad at his brother. He's like, Stack, what the fuck we doing? They're fucking giving us fucking wooden nickels. But we're here to make money. But you're over here giving a handouts.
And he's like, yeah, man, but we do this for the first round because everybody wants to show up and have a good time. And they give have their perspective on it, but they're both reaching for the same thing.
But he's
Which
actually
They
right.
even,
He
they even
only-
run the numbers too.
Yeah, but he's actually right. He's like, we should do this first like this because they're gonna be like, oh man, this is fucking badass place to be at, hang out. Well, we can waste our money here if we want to.
And bring more business.
Yeah.
So he's doing it from that angle. His brother disagrees, or cousin, whatever, disagrees. The twins disagree, right? Sammy is in the middle. He's playing his music. It doesn't, one way or the other, it doesn't affect him.
As long as he's playing his music.
Now, if you look at Slim, who's the other musician, who did have a way to get out of there, decided, I'm not going to do that. All the money I make, all the gigs I play, even with this talent that I have, what does he say?
You don't know.
I drank it all the way.
Yeah.
He's an alcoholic. I ain't going to leave. I can't leave.
Well,
Every dollar I make, I drink it away. And he said, and for a sinner like me, I can't ask for more than that.
That's how Stack told him. He's all right, man. Well, I'll have this bottle right here of fucking beer from Ireland. Taste it. You know, he got to taste it.
Well, that was a convincing
Yeah,
big old play.
that's how I said. You got to taste it. He's like, all right, I'm gonna offer you all the beer you can drink, and all this is not gonna give you so much. And he's like, that shit is mine. Because at first he turned it down. He's like, I have this job right here that I can fucking do. I have it every
it's
night.
consistent.
I have it all the time, no matter what.
Every Saturday night.
It's like fucking having a job. You're like, I have a fucking job that I'm always gonna have no matter what. And you're offering me this other one for
You know, he says
one night?
the name of that place I've been going there for 20 years every Saturday night. They'll be here next Saturday. You may not, right?
I'll be here for the next 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
How am I gonna know you actually gonna be here?
Right. So
Why am I gonna give
But-
up something that's fucking consistent to me to fucking go for some one night stand?
and the agenda for him there was just that. It was not, he had the talent, but he didn't have the desire to push himself out of that area. He stayed there. He had no real drive. So he stayed doing that. And I mean, we can go through the themes all night, but the contradiction in that there is he has the talent, he has all of that, but he has no drive to get out of there. He's fine being where he's at.
And I mean, part of the drive too, and a little bit of his backstory is, at one point he did try to do more, and him and his friend, I think Rice, were trying to make it out. And in that, when his friend was trying to buy that train ticket out of there and ran into some Klansmen, they accused him of murdering and raping a white woman, and they hung him right there at the train station. And he realized no matter how much money I have, it will always be taken from me like that.
Father's agenda saying more or less give up your talent that you have, don't use this power, put it aside, or use it for the church and follow in my footsteps of this religion, right, of the Christianity thing or the being a preacher or whatever. Everybody is telling Sammy or trying to take Sammy into a direction. The vampire wants to take Sammy, bring him into his fold so that he has access to that power to reach the people. Like he said, I haven't been able to talk with any of my family for however long. That's what he wants out of it. And they'll tell him what other options he'll have once he has it, right? But, so Sammy, regardless of what perspective you take in any of these religions we mentioned, Sammy is in the middle of it, being pulled in every direction for everybody else's gain instead of his own. Which is why I think at the very end of the movie, spoilers, I think at the very end of the movie when his father's telling him just let go of this, denounce all this, and come back to the church, prodigal son style, he says no. He jumps back in the car and leaves. Because he was telling his dad, remember the song he wrote, Sorry I Lied to You, right? Sorry I lied to you, Dad.
But I have to go.
I gotta go.
Right.
Jumps in his ride, takes off, and he ends up becoming this very successful music,
But you missed a lot of parts of it though.
very successful musician after all these years. I'm just talking about just Sammy's story, right?
Yeah.
That's the A plot of it.
I thought it was pretty sick how he fucking smashed him over the head with a fucking
Yeah,
guitar and all that.
I wasn't gonna get into the super big details, but I'm just talking like Sammy's plot, his arc through it.
Yeah.
Is, you know, every character has their own little arc through this movie, but Sammy's kind of the main protagonist. So that's his adventure through that is more or less having the talent and not having direction or having his own guidance on what to do because he's undecided. And while he's undecided, everyone else is making decisions for him.
Yeah.
And he decides for himself, no, this is what I want to do. I want to play the blues. I want to use this, but I'm going to use this the way I want to. I'm going to blaze my own path. I'm not going to be any of these things everybody else wants me to be.
He is almost referencing the music again, as he's taking that rocky road to Dublin.
But see,
So,
like, that's what I
he's
don't
self-made.
understand. Is usually fucking vampires are like fucking brainless, soulless, and all that. But how is it like he kept a good promise to his brother that much? I wouldn't touch my cousin.
Well,
Because I think that they share a collective mind, but I also think they still have their own individual personalities, especially when your individual personality is so strong and so up there. Where we start looking at the characters who are turned into vampires, right? We're looking at all the black people who were there, the African Americans who were slaves who were turned into vampires, and the reason why they are so willing to go along is that's all they know. Is
Well-
they do what they are told. And then you compare that to Stack and Smoke, who like push their way through. So that's why he was able to kind of be his own independent person. When you talk about, I can't remember her name, the girlfriend who gets turned into a vampire, the reason that she's able to kind of like run away and survive is because she is very stubborn of, the white folk won't accept me, the black folk won't accept me. I'm not white enough for the white people, but I'm not black enough for the black people. And it's that individuality that I think is strong enough to separate. Yes, you still share the collective mind and the goal of the cult, but they are still strong enough to go off on their own.
Well, I think the interpretation of that is pretty spot on. And at the very end, they asked Sammy, "Hey, you know, just one last temptation, right?
Yeah.
One last temptation. Hey, if you want, we can make you
Immortal.
where you don't have to worry about any of this.
Yeah,
You can be here and stay touring and feel no pain and do all that."
Yeah.
And what does Sammy tell him?
Nah, I'm tired of the world.
I think I've seen enough of this place.
Yeah.
But I think we need to bring it back. I mean, we've gone in a bunch of different directions.
So, yeah, I agree. I think we need to start wrapping it up and kind of going over, and we'll start with Yeti, but going over what was your favorite part, what was your least favorite part, and then we'll rate it.
What?
All right, so Yeti, what is your highlight, your low light, and what do you rate this?
Maybe the low light part, like I said, when it first started, it sucked. I didn't like that part every month because it put me to sleep. My fucking favorite part, when they fucking all just started fucking fighting, that was pretty badass. It was,
I think it's pretty cool.
and like the middle part, when he told that little girl, he thought, give me your price and I'll pay you.
Oh yeah, when he kind of shows her the value of money,
Yeah.
and being able to barter and
He teaches her how to negotiate.
Yeah, he's like, don't be a fucking, don't let nobody treat you like a fucking piece of shit. You're fucking worth something.
yeah.
He's like, I'll give you 10 cents every minute I'm in there. And she's like, okay, but she was happy about that. She's like, oh, yes, okay, I'll take that. And she's like, no.
Your time is worth more.
Yeah.
Argue for it.
Yeah.
He's teaching her exactly what every normal person would do, which is stand up for yourself,
Yeah.
have value in yourself.
Yeah.
So
Which I think is a great representation of how it was life down there in the South during that time, during Jim Crow.
Yeah. It's pretty much telling a girl to stand up for yourself. Or do whatever you gotta do. Don't let nobody fucking down you. Don't take nothing less than fucking good.
All right, what would you rate the movie? 1 out of 5 years.
Hey, fucking. At first, I was gonna give it like a 1 or 2, but I'll give it at least. His acting was J.B. Moore Jordan, fucking Michael B. Jordan did. He's a good actor, but on this movie, he was kind of just like what's his name, Slim. He kind of sucked on it too. But I'll give it at least a 3.5.
All right, Texas, what is your high, low, and review?
Yeah.
So I think that the music obviously is the highest point of this. The sets and everything else, very close second. And story writing, of course, all that tied together. I would say the production itself is awesome. For the story, the high point of the story for me would be the third act. Obviously, it's the coolest part of the movie. There's the most action packed, but it also, I mean, it's the third act, man. It ties everything up.
Yeah.
I think the pacing at the beginning was, I agree with you guys, was really slow. So that part, not to say that it should be any different, but you know, they could have trimmed some of the fat at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think they could have revved it up a little bit faster than that. Kind of gone more into the brothers or the making of the jukebox or set dressing any other way other than just drawing this out forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the two minutes,
And-
4 almost 15 minutes before I just get to the good part.
it took a good while, man. And I would say, yeah, the pacing at the beginning was very slow. I would rate this movie a solid 3 out of 5. What about you, JD?
My high point for this movie, I definitely think, is probably the music. I loved the music, and I love not only the choice of the songs that were used, but the undertone and the symbolism that the songs almost hold within that period of time of just we talked about Pick Poor Robin Clean, we talked about Rock Road to Dublin. I think those are great songs by themselves, but in the context of the movie, it almost changes, and I really enjoy that. I will agree. My low point has to be the slow pacing of it. I don't think I would change it, but it was just a little slow. I do love the premise of the movie. I think the premise of being in that period of time, getting out of World War I, we're starting the Great Depression, we're heading towards World War II. I think that time period and the premise of vampires is a great premise. I think you could make a scarier vampire movie set in that time frame. However, I don't think that minimizes this film. I think this film is a solid movie. I would recommend watching it at least once, just because I do think it is a great movie. I watched it twice. I had no problem watching it. I'll probably watch it again. I very much enjoyed it. I would give it a solid 3 out of 5, just due to the pacing, and I wasn't a huge fan of some of the CGI that was involved. It wasn't the best, but I also think a lot of that money went towards set designs. It went towards the cast, because the cast was stacked. It was a great cast, and I think a great director, and obviously a great set team and a lighting team. I think money went where it needed to go. All right, so I think that's a great first movie that we picked. Our theme so far, we're going to keep with a theme.
I think we could probably keep with a horror theme, thriller, something along those lines.
For until we get back and then we'll circle back around.
Yeah, because when we pick all three movies will be following a similar theme. We'll figure out what it is later. But once all three of us pick a movie, we'll watch it, and then we'll come back to JD, and he'll start a whole new theme or a whole new genre. We'll figure it out.